like our label Distort like doesn't put any like pressure on us in any way. Like I've definitely heard of other bands who will be sat down and say like, okay, you know, your last record did pretty good. If you do this and this with your songs, like if you try and have a radio song and you try and have a song like this is gonna benefit you in the end. And these bands, like, you know what I mean, for no fault at all, are like, you know, because you take advice from people and you just like, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, let's try and write songs like that. Whereas like, we went to the studio and we're like, fuck, let's just try and write songs. You know what I mean? So we were just jamming out and playing whatever. And when we played it for like the guy at Distort, it was a lot heavier. Like I was screaming a lot more, the songs were a lot heavier, they were a lot more intense. At the same time, there was a lot of parts that were, you know, I feel like there's a lot of parts that are catchier. There's also a lot of more like melodic parts. There's a lot more like, you know what I mean? Like just a lot of like cool parts in the record. So we played him all the songs and he just sat there on the couch and was just like, this is heavy. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I love it. Do you guys like it? And we're like, yeah. We're like, what if people think it's too heavy? He's like, fuck, I don't care. Are you happy with it? We're like, yeah. He's like, me too, let's go. Like, you know, like let's go for dinner. So it was like, it was a real no-brainer, which is nice to be like in a family like that. Of like, to have that kind of support and to have that kind of freedom where they just like, not that he doesn't care, but he just hears it and goes, yeah, this will work. You know, these songs sound cool, I'll put this out. You know, and that's just how he runs his business. Like, he loves Alexis on Fire. And he's just like, yeah, this sounds cool, let's put this out. And kind of just like looking at this album, we just sort of took apart like what we really liked about the last record. And sort of like, kind of like sat back and just were like, you know, I love when we do this part. I love when, you know, people are able to go off to this when we play live. And, oh, I love like how stoner rock this feels, and I love when we do this. So we just kind of tried to focus on that and to like really work on those elements more. So we're like, oh, we should have a fast song, you know, like we should do more thrash stuff. And then at the same time, we were like, we should have a total stoner song, you know, like we should have like all these elements that we love about like heavy music and just try and like make that our own. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we've been able to do it. Like I'm happy with all the songs in their own way. And I feel like none of them sound alike at all. Like all 12 songs on the record sound completely different, but they all fit together in a way that I'm stoked on. It still sounds like a Cancer Bats record, but it just feels like we're, you know, pushing like what we were doing before. So I'm stoked on that.
Is it different at all in terms of the writing process for Birthday Giant? I remember in talking to you for Exclaim prior to Birthday the Giant, you talked about how originally, you know, it was like you and Scott, and you were just like, fuck it, dude, let's go in and I'll play drums. And
yeah, exactly.
Like, was this more of a sort of collaborative band effort, or was the writing process still kind of the same as
No,
Birthday the Giant?
Like, we still had some of the ways that like we had written things, like Scott and I, do you know what I mean? But yeah, last time when we were writing it, we had, like, Mike came into the picture halfway through the album. You know, so this time around it was like, yeah, all three of us like being on the same point with what we wanted to do. And I think also like personally having like a bit of like a mission to kind of like push what we were doing like further. Like Scott, you know what I mean, obviously he was getting a lot better at guitar and wanted to put solos in the record and wanted to push like those ideas and play a lot. Play a lot better stuff. And then like Mike wanted to step up more with drums. I wanted to step up more with vocals. Like I actually took like the writing of this album a lot more serious. This time around it was like writing a ton in advance. Like even before we had songs, I was just like writing on tour as much as I could. Because not like I wasn't happy with what happened with the last record, but I really was like, felt like I was capable of more. And there was, you know, those parts where I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. I could really hammer this home though. I could make this like a lot more personal or make a lot more sense or make a bit more of a statement with it. So I feel like that way, like, as a whole for this album, kind of being able to do that. I don't want that to sound cocky at all, but I'm just like, I guess I'm like really even just like reflecting on it while we're doing like a lot of press for the album now. I'm just like, yeah, I'm proud as fuck with like what we've done. Like I feel like we've actually like stepped up to the plate. So. With that, Frank fucking Carter.
Home show,
dude. But yeah, no, it's funny to think about that.